Ladies and gentlemen, let's strip away the taboos, the silence, the embarrassment, and talk about something that has been hidden in plain sight for far too long. Pleasure, science, health, empowerment. For centuries, society has taught us more about suppressing desire than understanding it. We've been given fragments of biology, whispered myths, and half-truths about the female body. But what if I told you that squirting, yes, female ejaculation is not some wild internet fantasy, but a real physiological response with roots in urology, sexual health, and total body wellness? This is not about a trick, a gimmick, or a dirty secret. This is about anatomy. This is about liberation. This is about education. Squirting is real and it's rooted in anatomy and physiology that many people never learn about. The Skene's glands, often called the female prostate, sit just inside the vaginal wall around the urethra. They are the true source of female ejaculation. When these glands are stimulated, usually through firm, consistent pressure on the anterior wall of the vagina, they can release fluid through the urethral opening. This is not a myth or a porn trick. It's a natural bodily response that has been recorded in both ancient medical texts and modern scientific studies. The challenge is that society has covered this part of the body in silence, leaving women and their partners uninformed about the reality of this experience. The fluid released during squirting has been analyzed in laboratories and shown to contain components from the Skene's glands, sometimes mixed with traces from the bladder, but it is not the same as urine. The fact that researchers debate its composition proves that it is a genuine physiological event, not an illusion. During arousal, blood flow to the pelvic region increases, the glands swell with fluid, and with enough stimulation and relaxation, the body can expel it. This is a sign of the body working as it was designed, yet many women feel shame or confusion the first time it happens. That shame is a direct result of poor sexual education and cultural stigma, not biology. To fully understand squirting, we need to look at the way the female body responds to arousal. The G-spot, often discussed casually, is not a single button but a network of sensitive tissues surrounding these glands. When stimulated with the right pressure and rhythm, it sends signals through dense nerve pathways that heighten arousal. As the intensity builds, the Skene's glands release fluid as part of the orgasmic process. For some, it happens easily. For others, it takes practice, relaxation, and a willingness to let go of control. It's not about forcing it, but about allowing the body's natural capacity to unfold without judgment. Many women never experience squirting simply because no one told them their bodies were capable of it. Partners may stop too early, thinking they've triggered urination, or women themselves may clamp down, fearing embarrassment. In reality, what's happening is a unique release that reflects deep pelvic activation and muscle engagement. The pelvic floor contracts, the glands empty, and the body lets go in a wave of pleasure. That release is not only intensely satisfying, it's a form of relief. Imagine carrying tension in your chest and finally exhaling deeply. Squirting works like that for the pelvic region, only more powerful. This is why understanding the biology behind it matters. Knowledge takes away shame, and shame is the only barrier standing between the body and its fullest capacity for pleasure. The G-spot is one of the most misunderstood parts of the female body, often spoken about as if it were a hidden button waiting to be pressed, when in truth it is far more complex and fascinating. Anatomically, it is not a singular spot but rather a cluster of tissues rich in nerve endings, glands, and spongy structures that sit behind the front vaginal wall, only a few centimeters in. This network of tissue surrounds the urethra and connects to the Skene's glands, which are the same structures involved in female ejaculation. When stimulated properly, this area becomes engorged with blood, much like erectile tissue in men, and becomes more sensitive and responsive to pressure. It is an internal extension of the clitoris, tied deeply into the same nerve pathways that fire during arousal. The most important part to understand is that the G-spot does not always feel the same to every woman, or even the same woman at different times. Sometimes it feels like a slightly ridged patch of tissue that may not respond much at first touch, but with consistent stimulation and arousal, it swells and becomes more distinct. What starts as a neutral sensation can build into intense pleasure as blood flow increases. It responds to pressure and a firm, rhythmic motion more than light touch, which is why many partners miss it. They either stop too soon or use the wrong technique. The G-spot is a dynamic structure, and it often requires patience to awaken. This is why foreplay, relaxation, and creating a safe space are so important. When this area is stimulated with persistence, something remarkable happens. The nerves connected to the G-spot feed into the same networks that control deep orgasmic contractions, meaning that arousal from this spot can trigger powerful whole body responses. For many women, this is the route to deep vaginal orgasms and squirting. The spongy tissue acts like a reservoir, filling with fluid from the Skene's glands, and when the stimulation reaches a threshold, the body releases it. This is not about pressing a button. It is about working with the body's rhythm, energy, and natural buildup. The G-spot acts like a gateway to a different kind of orgasm, often described as deeper, more intense, and more emotional than clitoral stimulation alone. Culturally, the G-spot has been surrounded by myths, some claiming it doesn't exist, others exaggerating it as a magical secret that guarantees instant pleasure. The truth lies in between. It exists, but it requires understanding, patience, and respect to awaken. Many women have never been guided to explore this part of their body, which means their potential for pleasure remains untapped. Partners who approach the G-spot with curiosity instead of expectation open the door for discovery. The more relaxed and aroused the body becomes, the more responsive the G-spot gets, and the more likely it is to unlock powerful sensations that transform not only sex, but the way a woman relates to her own body. When it comes to unlocking the full range of female pleasure, the mind is the true master switch, and the body simply follows its lead. Arousal is not just about touch, it begins long before fingers or tongues ever make contact. The brain is the most powerful sexual organ, and what a woman thinks, feels, and believes in the moment will decide how deeply her body responds. If she feels safe, cherished, and free of judgment, her nervous system sends signals that open blood vessels, increase lubrication, and allow for relaxation. If she feels rushed, pressured, or self-conscious, those same signals shut down arousal before it even has a chance to grow. The mental state is the difference between holding back and letting go, between resisting and surrendering to the experience. The psychological aspect of sex is why foreplay is not just physical, it is emotional. A partner's words, their energy, the atmosphere in the room, these cues all feed into arousal. A soft whisper, a look of desire, a reassuring touch on the skin can light up the brain as much as any direct stimulation. Anticipation, teasing, and emotional intimacy prime the nervous system to release dopamine, oxytocin, and other chemicals that amplify arousal. Without this mental engagement, physical stimulation may feel mechanical or shallow. The mind must give permission for the body to open, and when it does, pleasure multiplies in intensity. This is also why stress and anxiety are some of the biggest barriers to orgasm and squirting. When the brain is preoccupied with worry, it keeps the body in a state of alertness, preventing deep relaxation. The pelvic floor muscles tighten, the heart rate stays on edge, and the body resists the natural flow of arousal. For squirting in particular, relaxation is everything because the body needs to trust itself enough to release fluid without fear of judgment. That release is not just physical but psychological. It requires letting go of control and leaning fully into the experience. A calm, centered mind allows the body to express its natural capacity for release. It is no surprise then that fantasies, role play, and mental imagery are so effective in heightening arousal. The mind responds to imagination with the same neurochemical reactions as it does to physical touch. A woman who feels mentally stimulated, whether through erotic storytelling, visual play, or simply the right kind of attention, experiences a deeper state of readiness. Her body mirrors the mind's excitement, swelling with blood, producing lubrication and priming the Skene's glands for release. This mental engagement makes every physical touch feel magnified, turning ordinary sensations into extraordinary pleasure. The body follows the script written by the mind, and the more vivid and freeing that script is, the more powerful the orgasmic outcome can be. The pelvic floor is the hidden powerhouse of sexual pleasure, often overlooked in both education and intimacy, yet it plays a vital role in everything from arousal to orgasm to squirting. These muscles form a hammock-like structure at the base of the pelvis, supporting the bladder, uterus, and rectum, but their function goes far beyond anatomy. When toned and activated, they control the contractions that pulse during orgasm, and when relaxed, they allow the body to release fluid freely. Strong pelvic muscles increase sensitivity by enhancing blood flow to the genitals, making arousal easier to build and sustain. Without strength and awareness in this area, many women struggle to fully access their orgasmic potential or experience squirting. The beauty of the pelvic floor is that it can be trained just like any other muscle group. Exercises like Kegels, when practiced consistently, strengthen these muscles and improve control. But strength alone is not the secret. Flexibility and relaxation matter just as much. A pelvic floor that is too tense can create pain during penetration or difficulty reaching orgasm, while one that is weak may not produce the strong contractions that amplify pleasure. Balance is the key. The more connected a woman is to her pelvic floor, the more she can intentionally engage or release these muscles during intimacy, turning them into a tool of pleasure rather than just a background function. During arousal, increased blood flow makes the pelvic floor swell, heightening sensitivity in the G-spot, clitoris, and surrounding tissues. The contractions that occur in this region during orgasm are not random, they are the result of these muscles firing in rhythmic waves. When these contractions are powerful, orgasms feel deeper, more intense, and longer lasting. For squirting, the pelvic floor plays an even bigger role because the Skene's glands release fluid through the urethra in coordination with the muscle's ability to bear down and push outward. A strong but flexible pelvic floor allows the body to build up fluid pressure and then let it go, creating the explosive release that defines squirting. Beyond sexual pleasure, the pelvic floor is tied to overall health and wellness. A healthy pelvic floor helps with bladder control, prevents leakage, and supports core stability. Women who engage in pelvic training often report not only better sex but also improved confidence in their daily lives. They stand taller, feel more grounded, and carry an awareness of their body that changes the way they move and interact. This kind of embodiment is crucial because sexual pleasure is not separate from the rest of the body. It is deeply connected to physical health and emotional well-being. When a woman learns to master her pelvic floor, she is not just learning to orgasm harder or squirt easier, she is stepping into a new relationship with her own body, one rooted in strength, awareness, and freedom. Squirting is often framed purely as a performance of pleasure, but beneath the surface it is also a deeply functional process tied to health and wellness. When a woman's body is capable of releasing in this way, it reflects a complex interaction between the nervous system, urological health, circulation, and pelvic floor activity. The release of fluid is not only about the orgasm itself, but about the body's ability to let go of stored tension and activate muscles that rarely receive focused attention. This process can have measurable benefits for the urinary tract, helping to keep the bladder flushed and the Skene's glands active. It is a natural cleaning and strengthening mechanism that medicine has often ignored because of the stigma surrounding sexual fluids. The wellness connection becomes even clearer when we look at the hormonal shifts that happen during intense arousal and release. Orgasms, including those that result in squirting, trigger a surge of oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins. These chemicals don't just create euphoria in the moment, they actively reduce stress, lower cortisol, and improve overall mood stability. For women who experience chronic anxiety or tension, these neurochemical changes can have lasting effects. Squirting, with its powerful muscle contractions and fluid release, magnifies this process, leaving the body in a state of profound relaxation afterward. It is no coincidence that many women describe feeling lighter, calmer, and deeply reset after experiencing squirting. The physical act of squirting also trains and tones the pelvic floor in ways that benefit health outside the bedroom. During the build-up to release, the pelvic muscles engage to contain the fluid, and when the body lets go, they contract and expand in strong pulses. This is essentially an internal workout that improves bladder control, prevents leakage, and supports core strength. Women who practice pelvic awareness through sex, squirting, or intentional exercises often notice improvements in posture, balance, and overall confidence in their bodies. Sexual health in this sense merges seamlessly with physical wellness because the same structures that support pleasure also maintain daily functions like continence and stability. Another overlooked benefit is the effect squirting can have on sleep and recovery. The release of tension through deep orgasm and fluid expulsion activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of the body responsible for rest and restoration. This makes it easier to fall into a deeper, more restful sleep after intense sexual activity. For women who struggle with insomnia or restless nights, regular sexual release, including squirting, can function as a natural therapy. The body essentially resets itself, calming the nervous system and promoting healing. This is a reminder that sexual health is not a separate category of wellness, but a core piece of how the body maintains balance, vitality, and resilience. Communication is the real technique, and it is the foundation upon which all sexual exploration is built. Too many people chase secret tricks, hidden positions, or guaranteed moves, but the truth is that no two bodies respond in exactly the same way. What feels like bliss for one woman may feel overwhelming or uncomfortable for another. This is why open dialogue, honest feedback, and attentive listening are far more powerful than any manual technique. Communication transforms sex from a guessing game into a collaborative exploration where pleasure is created together rather than assumed or forced. It allows both partners to move with confidence because instead of wondering, they are guided directly by truth. When partners speak openly about their desires and boundaries, they strip away the pressure of performance and replace it with curiosity, asking simple but intimate questions like, "Do you like this pressure?" or "Would you like me to go slower?" Shows attentiveness and care. These moments not only fine-tune the experience, but also build emotional safety, which is essential for deep release. A woman who feels heard and respected is far more likely to surrender to pleasure because she trusts that her voice matters. That trust is what allows her to let go of control, to explore sensations she may have previously resisted, and to discover parts of her body she didn't even know could feel alive. Communication doesn't stop with words. It extends into reading nonverbal cues and responding to them. Breath, movement, moans, and subtle shifts in tension are all signals that can guide a partner more accurately than guesswork. A skilled lover listens with their hands, their eyes, and their presence, adjusting touch, rhythm, and intensity based on the body's feedback. This level of attunement creates a loop of energy where every action is answered by a reaction, and every reaction inspires the next action. It becomes less about applying a technique and more about creating a conversation between bodies where both voices are equally powerful. For many women, the path to squirting or deeper orgasm requires reassurance and encouragement throughout the process. Fear of judgment or embarrassment can cause them to hold back even when their body is ready to release. This is where communication becomes more than technical. It becomes emotional. A partner who whispers, "It's okay, let go," or who normalizes the intensity of the sensations gives her the permission her mind craves to fully surrender. That reassurance can make the difference between shutting down and opening up, between holding tension and letting go into release. Communication in this way becomes the lubricant of intimacy, reducing friction not on the body but on the heart and mind. True mastery in sex is not measured by how many tricks someone knows, but by how well they can listen, adjust, and co-create. Communication turns sex into an evolving journey where both partners remain present, engaged, and eager to discover more. It ensures that pleasure is not one-sided or accidental, but intentional, deeply personalized, and sustainable over time. It bridges the gap between physical stimulation and emotional intimacy, making every touch feel amplified and every orgasm more profound. This is why communication is not just a supplement to technique. It is the technique, the one that unlocks every other possibility.